This video is sponsored by World of Tanks. Yes, it really is. What is World of Tanks? Well, it's set in a world, and there's tanks in it. I really didn't think I needed to explain that. World of Tanks is a free-to-play PvP multiplayer megathon available for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And why should you play it? Why shouldn't you? It's free, you fools! You get to play around with big mechanical monstrosities, travel the world witnessing gorgeous vistas and exotic locales. I even caught a Skoda and a KV-1 having a cute little picnic together out in the vineyards, and who says love can't blossom on the battlefield? That pesky T-34 cowering behind cover? Just remove his cover, silly, you're in a taiga! The real secret to this game is causing as much collateral damage as possible, because the dynamic destruction system allows you to just do this. Every game of World of Tanks is exhilarating, a chess game on a grand mechanized scale, every minute movement resulting in glorious victory or catastrophic failure. Skill, knowledge of your tank's anatomy, and tactical considerate movement are all what makes World of Tanks so gosh darn fun. But don't take my word for it, find out for yourself. Download right now using the link in the description, completely for free. Using the code COMBAT, you'll even get 7 days premium access, 250k credits to spend on making your tank look extra pretty, the British Cromwell B premium tank right from the get-go, as well as 3 ultra-powerful iconic rental tanks for you to wreak havoc within for 10 battles each. Good lord, that's a lot of stuff. Basically, you've got no excuse to not download it right this instant. Just do it. God bless you, World of Tanks. Rockstar Games, for better or for worse, is one of the most influential game studios in the world. At least they were when they made games, that is. GTA, Red Dead Redemption, Bully, they're real big fans of the open world game format because, as we all know, it's not a real video game unless it's open world. With GTA 3, probably one of the most influential open world games ever made, Rockstar arguably revolutionized the entire genre with its map design, seamless world interactivity, and for making the world feel alive, even if it is occupied by Lego figures by today's standards. With every subsequent entry, they pushed their own design philosophies and the limitations of the hardware to the brink. San Andreas, you could journey to not 1, but 3 major cities on the west coast. Bully let you carry out your high school fantasies by being the one giving out the wedgies and not receiving them. GTA 4 is arguably the most intricately detailed and interactive open world game ever made, and GTA 5 lets you become a methed out driver. And then they made GTA Online.
So it's trash!
By 2014, the Valve paradox was in full effect, Rockstar having essentially discovered an infinite money glitch, and by this point they couldn't have cared less about actually making games. Yes, there was Red Dead Redemption 2, but Rockstar has always had difficulty integrating story missions and narrative progression with their open worlds. It was fine in GTA 3 and Vice City because the structure of these games is very loose and allowed the player some room to breathe without making them feel too confined, but by the time we hit GTA 5, it was basically fucking Jova. It's the usual drive from point A to point B, and occasionally you'll do something fun game design they're so fond of, but the missions are scripted and storyboarded to shit, essentially railroading you into doing exactly as Dan Houser intended, and if you so much as skip a centimeter off the beaten path, the hand of God will come down to smite you. Red Dead Redemption 2 is easily the worst example of this. Instead of cars, you get horses, and instead of sprawling urban metropolises, you get a 200 square kilometer map containing absolutely fuck all. As always, the dialogue and storylines presented here are absolute A-tier, but then you realize watching the cutscenes are a whole lot more fun than actually playing the game. Mount your horse, ride across the map for half an hour, watch another cutscene, kill 100 people. Cutscene! Congratulations, that's the mission. It's not uncommon for some missions to immediately segue into other story missions immediately after, and the open world as a result just feels like nothing but an over-designed set dressing. I mean, it's not all bad. Once you get control of your character, you can go out into the world and take a bath. Take a fucking bath, there's flies.
I can smell you shitting yourself. Get up and go to the bathroom. Now. Get up and go to the bathroom.
You can go to the theater. Yeah. Or hey, you can go fishing. I hate fishing. I hate fishing. The only game that has good fishing mechanics is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Anything else is just fucking garbage. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is the only game with decent fucking fishing mechanics. You can defeat the fucking Dark Lord with a fishing rod in that game. You can't do that in Red Dead Redemption. Why am I fucking fishing right now? I do not give a fuck about fucking fish. As much as I like Red Dead for the story and combat alone, it is chock full of bloated mechanics that fail to complement one another and really hold me back from being able to enjoy it to its fullest. And no, this is not a case of I sucked off LA Noire like a champ back in the day. So what happens when Rockstar decides to go out of their way and try their hands at a linear gaming experience for once? Surely with their track record for amazing writing and linear story design, they should have no problem with that whatsoever. Manhunt is a game where you hunt men in spectacularly brutal ways. Game journalists ate this shit up.
As Scott Steinberg, a video game reviewer and author, demonstrated for us, the experience is even more intense using Nintendo's Wii game console.
It was so disturbing that even Rockstar employees expressed their concerns at the moral implications of making the gaming equivalent to a snuff film. But for all intents and purposes, it is an excellent stealth horror slasher where you are the slasher and everyone else is your unwitting victim. Hell, the linear design freed up a lot of space for Rockstar to up the graphical fidelity and atmosphere in ways that they could only dream of with GTA. I'll come back to that, trust me. What about Agent? I said, what about Agent? But I feel like I'm forgetting about something. Something in the title of the video, maybe. Okay, yeah, whatever. It's Max Payne 3. Max Payne was not originally a Rockstar IP. While published by Rockstar, it was initially developed by Finnish studio Remedy Entertainment, written and directed by the adorable Sam Lake.
I was so impressed by the storytelling genius, I was overcome by a nasty fit of jealousy. But they would never need to know that. On the stage, I felt an urge to dance. That's what they all wanted.
Oh my god, why is this guy so fucking cool? And yes, if this guy looks familiar, that's because he's the one who gave Payne his iconic constipated grimace. Releasing in 2001, Max Payne is about a man named Max Payne. Wow, I couldn't have seen that coming. Named as such because the entire point of his character is that he has lived the absolute worst life any human being could hope to live. Spin the wheel of fortune on childhood trauma, this guy's been through it all. You can tell Sam Lake is a huge fan of names with double or literal meanings, but he wasn't always meant to be called Max Payne. No, before Max Payne, he was Max Heat. Yeah, they even spent 20 grand on this trademark before they decided on Payne. I imagine that took all of their brain cells rubbing together.
Okay, guys, we need Torstai come up with a new surname for our protagonist. His name is Max, and he is in a lot of pie. What do you guys think?
Max Torsion.
No?
Max Mastalgia.
What? Max Penis. What the fuck?
Ja ne 10 sarvea, jotka sinä näit pedon päällä,
Are you guys even trying Torstai take this serious?
What about Max Payne?
Okay, Sure.
Max Payne is a detective in the NYPD who goes home one evening to find his How the fuck can a detective own a house this big in the suburbs on a police officer's wage? Look at this, it's a fucking mansion. I guess all of that bribe money went towards the mortgage. He goes home to find his loving wife and daughter game-ended by crackheads, and this is the catalyst that begins Max's descent into a violent, drug-fueled rampage against the mafia.
Grab and peels.
The cutscenes are presented to you in comic book format, and all the characters are played by members of the dev team and their families, including, of course, Sam Lake playing the titular Max Payne. He does not fit the voice or the role, holy shit.
Just the man I've been killing to see.
This was done because the game was incredibly low budget, which makes their achievements with the game all the more impressive. The comic book cutscenes are definitely a classic case of limitation breeding creativity. It's so iconic, it's probably one of the first things you remember about the game looking back on it after all these years, and for good reason. Though the cast's modeling is goofy as fuck.
Lupino is the wolf. I'm Mr. Beast, the big bad Fenris wolf. I'm the end of the world, man.
The script is tight, witty, and brooding. Coupled with the background music, it near perfectly establishes the gritty, albeit tongue-in-cheek noir aesthetic Remedy was inspired to create. Visually as well, the game holds up wonderfully. Mostly. The texture work is excellent and incredibly detailed for the time. It might look basic by today's standards, but everything pops out as it should, and nothing in the game world feels out of place or lacking in content. These places still feel like real-life places, and the heavy atmosphere and absolutely crisp sound design are wonderful for immersing you in the game's absolutely bonkers combat system. Bullet time is the trademark mechanic that allows Max to dive through the fucking air in slow motion, guns blazing. It was a massive part of this game's appeal and also one of its selling points, but considering how Max is essentially a glass cannon in this game, it emphasizes the need for constant movement, dodging, and weapon switching if you're going to survive an encounter. The margin for error is incredibly small, but in a good way, because when you fuck up 9 times out of 10, you can tangibly understand why you fucked up, and it usually amounts to you stood out in the open with your dick in your hands too long, or... Another inspiration for the original Max Payne were the batshit works of Hong Kong gun fu director John Woo.
Not so fast. The password. John Woo.
Come on. Okay, John Woo.
Hard-boiled, I feel, in particular. Talking of inspirations, the comic aesthetic and the whole angry dead wife man in trench coat kills criminals for shits and giggles thing must have spoken to someone of volition on a personal level, because they cooked up the Punisher game in 2005, and that was, it was alright, I guess. Yeah, fun for the whole family. I have a lot less to say regarding Max Payne 2. It's still a good game. The new physics model they added to the world is...
Perhaps disguise didn't fool me.
It's alright. The game centers more around Max's survivor's guilt and his obsession with woman. Max Payne caught simping. Oh no. It's a bit too melodramatic for my tastes, and bullet time allows Max to go insanely fast with little movement restrictions whatsoever, making the game quite a bit easier than the first. But if you liked the first one, you'll like the second one. Also, Max Payne trips the fuck out in these games. Why am I telling you all of this? This is a video about the third game, right? We're nearing the 10-minute mark and I've barely even talked about Max Payne 3. Well, it's important to consider the context in which Max Payne 3 was created, and it's impossible to look back on it without considering what makes it such a divergence from the first two games. Not much is known about the early stages of Max Payne 3's development. From what I can tell, development began in 2005 and was initially headed by Rockstar Vienna before they were shut down and the project was shipped back to Rockstar North. The only concrete information we have of this time period in the game's development are these pieces of concept art and these screenshots of early levels of the game. Very reminiscent of the aesthetic of Max Payne 2, but the most interesting concept from the third game's early development was that it was initially supposed to be set in Russia. I mean, it's kind of obvious. But for whatever reason, the Hauser brothers decided against the Russia setting in exchange for Brazil, possibly because they were watching a bunch of Brazilian cinema at the time. A lot of their stories are directly inspired by and repeatedly referencing a lot of crime dramas. With Max Payne 3, stylistically and in terms of story, it's very self-evident that the influences of the 2004 movie Man on Fire had on the game, but they have also cited Tropa de Elite as an inspiration as well. The game was formally announced in the March of 2009 with
I lied to myself that it was over. It wasn't over. And it would get worse before the end.
People were fucking pissed. There were riots in the streets when the first trailer and more screenshots of the game began to drop. All of which from that one mission halfway through the game in the favela, all sporting Max's new redesign. People fucking hated it. Like, he looks completely different from his original appearance, and the contrast between sun-bleached Sao Paulo and noirish New York gave pretty much everyone severe whiplash. And also, it didn't help that Rockstar... For some reason, Rockstar didn't intend to cast James McCaffrey as Max's voice actor, because they intended for him to be older and more cynical, even though the guy's like 9 years older than the character by default. In hindsight, this was abhorrent marketing. Since the game came out, people have grown to accept and even love the new redesign and its place in Max's story, and it's even become iconic to the game, but forcing it on the public this way out of the blue is absolutely wild. Oh, and Max's Hawaiian shirt, well, in the beta, it's just a fucking Far Cry shirt.
Doyle, my armor's turning green.
The hype was anemic. Early screenshots and teasers had already soured people's hopes for the upcoming sequel. These trailers, their views are insanely low for your typical Rockstar release, and this is 13 years after upload. And then the game came out, and oh my lord. It sold well enough, to be fair, just not by Rockstar standards. People really didn't know what they had back in 2012. I mean, I'm also sure the game got overshadowed by the insane amount of other Kino coming out at the time. But it's only over the last few years where people have learned to really appreciate Max Payne 3. You could even say it's a bit of a cult classic nowadays. I don't want to get too bogged down talking about behind the scenes, early development stuff. I've kind of wasted enough time as it is. I'll come back to a lot of this stuff later on. For now, I just want to get into the more interesting shit for me and you both. The comics. Yes, Rockstar dropped a 3-issue comic for Max Payne 3, written in collaboration between Dan Houser and Sam Lake. Meeting of the fucking minds indeed. Produced by fucking Marvel. What the hell does this mean? Is Max part of the Marvel community now? Is he in the MCU? God, I hope not.
What the fuck is going on here?
The comics serve to bridge the gap between Max Payne 2 and 3 and give us more of an insight to his life before the shit-eating grin. His dad was abusive and his mum was an alcoholic, yeah, and they all died when he was young. This guy's life fucking sucks. The art is really nice, to be honest. A good blending of aesthetics between the two games, but it's mostly just Max commenting about how much his life fucking sucks and tripping on PTSD before his arch nemesis, Italian men, come to harass him. Guys, come on, surely you all know how this will end. It really doesn't provide much else other than added context for what happened to Max after the second game, and it's a nice homage to the original comic style. But obviously comic cutscenes don't have much of a place in the third game itself, but I'll get to that. Now that we've got all the basics covered, it's time to delve deep into what you've all been waiting for, the game itself. That's right, everything until now is a prologue, and it's already longer than half of my other fucking videos.
This place is great, really comfortable. I'm just gonna get settled in. Time to move on. Get on with my life. Yes, absolutely. Like I said, it was a long time ago. Let it go. Seriously.
This intro is fucking amazing. The direction and cinematography is first class, seasoned by James McCaffrey's haunting narration as Max Payne. This shot of Max glancing at the duffel bag with the camera tilted at an angle slightly has stuck with me since I first played the game, indicating he is fighting some overwhelming temptation. It's not until he reaches into the bag and looks upon the photograph of his family when he finally gives in to the temptation.
Definitely more my style than Panama, or Hoboken, I guess. No, If I'm honest, I just got kind of bored of boozing. I mean, once in a while, but not all the time.
Max is an alcoholic. The pain he's endured from the past 2 games too intense to bear on his own, instead choosing to obliterate himself with a cocktail of scotch and the painkillers he's been popping for nigh on 11 years. Yes, those pills you popped in previous games have culminated in his addiction, and it is fucking heartbreaking listening to him lie to himself about his fresh start in Brazil when the fact of the matter is he hasn't moved on at all.
Maybe I'd lost my self-respect, but it's back. I'm excited. Really. I really needed a new start. I think you're right. I think I am gonna like it here.
One thing you'll learn to appreciate about this game is the language of its music. I'll touch more on the soundtrack later and the band who composed it, but for now, focusing on the main theme, it is far and away a vast contrast compared to the theme from Max Payne 2, which, bombastic as it is, communicated Max's dramatic and tragic downward spiral. Compared to Max Payne 3's theme, which I can only describe the feeling it gives me in 2 words: rock bottom. When you've hit the lowest you can go, with nothing to keep you company other than the tragedies that befell you all those years ago. Now, why does this mean so much to me? I mean, it has to for me to have let it play out near completely unedited for a little over 3 minutes. Well, I am a recovering alcoholic. How Max spends his time in the intro and between jobs is pretty much how I'd spend every night for the past 6 years. Lying to himself, wanting to move on but not knowing how. He's literally me, for real, for real. I'm doing much better nowadays, so don't worry, but it's cathartic being able to identify myself in this character's struggles and the journey he endures to finally put his demons to rest. This is why I'm making this video. Anyway, this got a little too dark all of a sudden. Yeah, funny bald man, Walter White.
I got nowhere else to be!
Like with the previous games, we skip ahead to the very end of the game where we're left to wonder what the fuck is going on and what the hell has he gotten himself into now, before slingshotting back to a few weeks prior. It's here where we learn Max, having left the NYPD, is working a private security firm on behalf of the Bronco family.
The family we were protecting were local celebrities, rich parasites with delusions of humanity. The kind of people who end up in glossy magazines or body bags.
Oh, Dan Hauser, you sly dog. You're introduced to pretty much everyone who's going to be important to the story. Everyone here is essentially a massive walking Chekhov's gun.
Look at Marcel. Still dances like a fool.
Guess that's what a European education and a coke habit will do for Ricky Martin look-alike.
Even if it's not completely apparent on who they are or what their role will be, their time will come. The scene is actually a nice change of pace from that, and honestly, Passos, Max's sidekick, is a great side character. He's pretty laid back and has a good sense of humor, and his chemistry with Max is next level.
Man, that favela is big.
Yep. Nothing like the view of extreme poverty to make a penthouse cocktail party really swing.
I guess they call it trickle-down economics.
So overall, yeah, it's a pretty nice intro, very relaxed, good dialogue. I can't wait to see how this is gonna go. Oh. An army of generic goons has kidnapped the Broncos, and it's time for Max to save them. And here we get into the gameplay. The combat is good, very good even. Enemies go down in a few shots, the blood spray effects are viscerally satisfying, and Max Payne 3 makes very liberal use of GTA 4's Euphoria physics engine and their active ragdolls. Look at that fucking landing! Oh my god, what a fucking Chad! Did you see him stick that fucking landing? That was amazing! To add tons of weight to the combat, enemies will recoil and clasp at their wounds when shot, and they drop like a sack of fucking potatoes. Absolute keynote. I will say at first, you're incredibly limited in your arsenal in the beginning of the game, the most at your disposal being pistols, or if you're lucky, the odd shotgun. But every single level introduces new weapons that steadily progress upwards in terms of stats and versatility. You're always on the move, always finding new tools and finding new ways to use them along the way. And since Max has only one slot for a primary weapon and 2 for secondaries, and since ammo is really quite scarce sometimes, you're not only encouraged but obliged to keep up the momentum, switching out your weapons and altering your tactics on the fly as you play. So yeah, absolutely kick-ass. This gets an A star from me. I do not know why Max thought it would be a better idea to possibly jump off the side of a fucking skyscraper and slide down into a swimming pool below when he had a perfectly good shot from the high ground he was standing on. I mean, he is kind of shit-faced. You're not going to face much of a challenge in this first level. The cartel goons are poorly equipped and very lightly armored. This ain't shit to Max, man. The shootout in the car park is a good final send-off for the level where the terrain opens up and you get more goons coming at you all at once. A nice way of this game telling you that the training wheels are starting to come off. But what's this?
The great thing about being famous as well as rich is the bad guys know who to kidnap.
Yeah. Clues. Clues are part of the environment that Max can observe to help him understand more about the situation. I use the word understand loosely because what the hell, man. Half of these clues don't even have anything to do with the plot, just something that caught Max's eye and he's decided he wants to be a real nick about it.
You should kill yourself now.
Some of these are really revealing, but then there's this one. It's just some fucking guy in a magazine. Granted, this guy also becomes incredibly important later on, but this doesn't clue me into anything. At best, it's just more foreshadowing, but as a clue, it doesn't tell me anything. So Max saves Mr. Branco. Just in time for some police brutality.
Ei, vocês aí! Que porra vocês estão fazendo? A justiça local?
Que porra você acha que é, falando com meus homens assim?
Você acha que tem o direito de matar as pessoas a sangue frio, Becker?
Cala a boca, cuzão! Continua dando multas. Não põe o nariz onde não é chamado. Vamos!
Yeah, everyone speaks Portuguese, and as a result, Max has no idea what they're saying, or neither does the player. Really helps immerse the player in Max's situation, stuck in a foreign land, not knowing what the hell's going on. But yeah, good job, Max. You saved the world. Time to start binge drinking.
Do a shot of whiskey. Do a shot of whiskey. Do a motherfucking shot of whiskey. Fuck the shot, give me bottle. Give me a whole bottle of the...
Cut to a few days later where Max is in a helicopter taking Branco's wife and his in-law to a high-rise nightclub.
Thank you, Max. I don't know what I would do without my sister. Spend even more time doing something useful. You know she works in the favela. She's the good sister. Oh, shut up. What did you hear, Faba? More bodies turned up where people went missing. It's horrifying.
And then we get to the club itself.
This kind of place made me want to puke. I needed a real drink to deal with the electronic music and the robotic people.
He's literally me, for real, for...
Oh, Max, I love you, man. You're fucking real, you know? Oh, shit. People. Fuck them. People get me wrong. I think I love a wrong woman.
Okay. But as usual, Max's complacence leads to... This sequence is amazing. As Max progresses through the level, the music in the club plays in perfect tandem to the tension and building chaos. It's here where you get your first automatic weapon, the mini Uzi, and it's so good. Then you meet this guy.
Don't shoot, por favor.
You an American?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm from Steele, North Dakota, just outside of Bismarck. Anders Stetling. This is some place, huh? They told me it was a little fresh, but I wasn't expecting things to be quite like this.
No?
No, see, I've seen things. I was a cop for 25 years. I've seen men run over by combines. I've seen husbands who just ate their wives, but a gunfight at a disco.
You can tell Dan Houser wrote this scene. Like, dude, come on, stop trying to give me your life story. We're in a fucking raid. The kidnappers take Fabiana and her sister to the roof, and Max decides to take the scenic route.
These guys weren't messing around. This place was like Baghdad with G-strings.
I can't leave you alone for 5 minutes! What the hell happened in there?
They jumped us! Same guys from the party, I think. They grabbed the girls, and Marcelo, but he's here now.
Yeah, don't worry about me, homie. I'm just the guy paying you lots of money to protect me.
Yeah, what were you drinking?
Bet your ass I was.
Yeah, dude, we're in a nightclub. What the fuck else am I supposed to do? And here we begin the on-rail sniper section of the game. It's pretty good. Great music, set pieces, and dialogue as usual. However, the laser sights on the Mini 14 rifle fucking suck. You get more of these in the latter stages of the game, presumably to help your aim, but in practice they literally do anything but. Luckily, you can just disable it by pressing the B key, and this segment becomes a whole lot easier. One thing I want to talk about is this game's bullet time system. It's completely physics-based. If Max collides with anything in the environment, it will rip you out of bullet time and more than likely throw you onto the floor. It's kind of funny when this happens, but also kind of realistic, and this kind of seamless interaction with the game world is something I adore. This set piece on the rooftops is amazing as well. The night lighting, Max's desperation, and the unhinged amount of goons coming to kill you. It's just peak. Max eventually finds Giovanna, but Fabiana has been taken by the cartel in a helicopter, and Max is less than enthused. Chapter 3 is probably one of my favorites in the entire game, set in a derelict football stadium where Max and Passos intend to hand off ransom money in exchange for Fabiana's freedom. It all goes sideways, however, when an unknown third party up in the nosebleed starts trick-shotting everyone.
Is it bad?
Could be a lot worse.
Could be a lot worse. That was a 50 cal. How do you still have an arm? And the whole thing turns into a massive free-for-all with everyone climbing over one another and trying to get the money. Interestingly enough, you can skip half of these encounters in this chapter by staying back and hiding behind cover until the enemies move on. Presumably, this is leftover from some kind of stealth system that was intended to be in the game, but was eventually cut because it's a Max Payne game. He's not exactly Solid Snake. And here we meet our second faction of goons.
O que, seu viado do caralho? Cadê a porra do dinheiro?
They seem nice enough.
The mercenaries are far better equipped and trained than the cartel goons. Their weapons are a lot more advanced and their body armor allows them to absorb damage and shock alike, forcing you to whip out your Dead Space sweat strats and aim for the limbs or the head. You do not want to get caught out in the open with these guys. They can even throw grenades to flush you out of cover. Oh my god! What the fuck? Holy shit, man! Moving on, Max gets a 50 cal, which he has to use to cover Passos. He's really versatile with every weapon, no matter what it is, even though he's just like your average police officer, man. I love the witty banter shared between Max and Passos in this level.
A little late to be giving him his last rites, don't you think?
Look at this blackjack. This is high-end gear. These guys are seriously financed.
Yeah, I noticed. I'll get you one for Christmas. Come on, let's keep moving.
Oh, I almost forgot to mention. Throughout Max Payne 3, you can find television scattered throughout each level, another callback to the originals, where you can take a break from the action in the middle of a fucking gunfight to watch TV. Yeah, oh, okay, Max. Aside from the news broadcasts and some additional lore, you can also watch... Yeah, alright, yeah, fuck this, I need a drink. For those of you still watching, that is the Curupira, a folklore figure slash cryptid that punishes and hunts greedy hunters and poachers. Why this lady gave birth to one, I do not want to know, and frankly, I wish this entire experience was stricken from my memory. Also, this show in particular was inspired by lords and ladies from the first game.
Yes, my lord, we should both be dead, for this shame is too great for the living. My lord, I am your long-lost sister.
It was not a pretty sight.
One of my favorite details in this game is due to the 30+ degree temperatures and the unhealthy amount of running and gunning Max does, patches of sweat begin to seep through his shirt. If he's wearing a jacket or a coat, you probably won't see it, but if he's down to a shirt or his tank top, then yeah, I bet this motherfucker stinks. They lose the money to the mercenaries, but they find out where Fabiana is being held hostage, and... Alright, I'm fully convinced that that shot Vlad hit him with gave him permanent brain damage. I do not see any other reason he's insane enough to do this. And they escape.
Ah, deixa pra lá. A gente tá sendo pago pra pegar o dinheiro. Não aqueles dois.
At least we know where she is. Yeah, fantastic. Another good day's work. Trouble seems to find us, Max.
Sure, trouble finds us the same way you found me. Slumped in a bar, drunk on self-pity.
Ah yes, the New Jersey chapters. Here we see where Max was spending his days before his current predicament in Brazil, and as always, it involves him being harassed by a bunch of extras from The Sopranos.
How about that prick's face when he saw the gat?
Yeah, has-been washed-up old cop should go on TV. Yeah. Tell some jokes about how you got your wife killed or some shit.
Your IQ has to be single-digit to think harassing Max Payne, insulting his family to his face, and then hitting a woman right in front of him will result in anything but your immediate demise. Insulted Max Payne's family, sir, and, hit a woman in front of him. The New Jersey chapters are essentially the mother of all callbacks to the first game. The snowstorm, the night atmosphere, the mafia doing what they do best and dying by the literal hundreds. Captain Baseball Bat Boy.
We join our hero on a date at the arcade with Bicycle Helmet Girl.
Yeah, we're not on a date.
Virginity is cool.
And most importantly, the motherfucking leather jacket. Honestly, the story of the New Jersey chapters is kind of self-contained and separate from the rest of the game, but they're crucial to Max's journey. Hell, the framing here is very interesting. The local mob boss is out for Max's blood as revenge for him killing his dickhead son, which, as you all know, is something Max knows all about. The roles are reversed. Max is no longer pursuing the mafia over the deaths of his family, they're pursuing him over theirs. And although he has a total combined screen time of like 3 seconds, Anthony DeMarco would have been an excellent villain. In spite of his short, withered stature, he's very imposing, fueled by absolute rage, and his actor was just straight up going for the Oscar here.
Fuck you! Sorry for your loss. But your son was killed in gun battle. A battle he started. Shut your fucking mouth! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
I certainly think under different circumstances, this scenario could have carried the story for a whole game. I will die on the hill that DeMarco would have been an excellent foil to Max's character, almost like a dark reflection of his past manifested in the present, a perversion of his sense of justice and mental fortitude. These are easily some of the more linear levels in the game, the first one especially, but that doesn't mean there's nothing to see. Like in the rest of the game, scattered throughout these levels are golden gun parts. Each weapon in the game has a total of 3 pieces that you can collect to turn them fucking gold. Max thinks he's Saddam Hussein, I guess. By default, you're given a 10% damage buff, which is alright, but some weapons, like the 1911 and the MP5, all get extended magazines alongside the damage buff, making them a lot more viable on harder difficulties. One weird thing, however, a lot of these guns don't show up in the respective levels where their gold pieces show up. Like here, the FNAF SAF. The parts for it are all located in Chapter 4, but it only makes a scant appearance at the very end of the game. And don't get me fucking started on the RPG. Yes, you can bling up an RPG, a weapon you don't even get to use in the fucking story. But while I'm not a fan of collectathons, I can make an exception for this one. They're not ridiculously well hidden, they're all relatively easy to find, assuming you're willing to stray from the beaten path a little, and they offer a tangible progressive reward that actually encourages exploration and attention to detail. So, thumbs up, Rockstar, you actually made collectibles fun. Now please explain to me why half the cast of the first 2 games is buried at this one small plot in bumblefuck New Jersey.
Nicole Horn's mausoleum. The woman who ordered Michelle's death. I passed it whenever I came to see my wife. It felt appropriate to leave her some dead bodies instead of flowers.
Can we just take 1 second to fully appreciate how gorgeous this game looks? Even for a 2012 release, which all generally look really good today, more so than GTA 5. Like with Manhunt, the inherent linearity of each level's design obviously allowed Rockstar to go all in on the graphical fidelity and doesn't completely devour my hard drive space. Like, even the texture work on people's skin and their faces makes me kind of uncomfortable. They look leathery and dry, but in a way that feels natural as you can get when talking to skinwalkers anyway. Cut back to the present, and Max is undergoing a stealth operation to hopefully rescue Fabiana, where he expresses his guilt over her kidnapping.
I had no idea what lay ahead, and as much as part of me would rather be anywhere else, I knew this was where I had to be. I felt responsible. I just had to fix the situation, right here.
I mean, he's not completely wrong. He shouldn't have been drinking on the job, but at the same time, he was dealt with an impossible situation. He was one man against hundreds, but then again, this will become an important detail later on. For now, we continue our stealth mission. It goes just about as well as you expect. Fun fact about this level, it is one of, as far as I can tell, only 2 missions when you can find a Desert Eagle, hidden in a trailer near the docks. This strikes me as strange, given how predominant the Desert Eagle is in promotional art as it's Max's signature sidearm. It's pretty good, but the bullets are significantly slower than the other pistols. You really have to lead your shots. The goons escape with Fabiana in tow, and Max quickly learns what gave his daddy all those nightmares as he recreates his journey in a high-speed chase up the river. It should be noted, this game sports the highest kill count of all 3 Max Payne games, totaling at an estimate in excess of 1,200 people killed by Max's hand. The man is a human wrecking ball. And yes, unfortunately but predictably, Fabiana slips through their fingers once again.
No one told us they had an entire goddamn army.
I don't think anybody knew. Crazy shit.
Yeah. It's all crazy, pal. Non-stop insanity. Thought I left all this shit behind. Easy gig, you said. What a fool I was to get involved in this madness.
The chaos and bloodshed of the past week has taken its toll on Max. You can tell very well what his thoughts might be, staring longingly down the barrel of his gun. He's drinking more and more heavily, unable to wipe away his guilt nor the pain of responsibility he bears for his hand in the situation. This is Max at his lowest, lower than we've ever seen him.
You fucking pair of clowns!
Clowns, you say?
We risked our lives several times over trying to save... I know. I just wish I knew what was happening and why.
Oh, it's alright, man. I can't really get mad at a guy who's too nice to be assertive in any way whatsoever. How come you're a multi-million-dollar businessman again?
Be strong, brother. For your wife. I know this has been tough on you, but things will get better. For all of us.
Victor is really starting to act kinda sus. He's very shifty and his attempts to comfort his brother seem incredibly forced. Whatever, he's leaving now anyway. Maybe we can get some time alone with— oh my god!
Crotcha Prado, the Black Badge. Right-wing paramilitary chumps protecting whoever paid the most. I guess that made them more like me than I cared to admit.
Max votes Republican, confirmed. The mercenaries are raiding the building, presumably after Rodrigo Branco. This is where the game's environmental destruction goes into absolute fucking overdrive. Panels on the office cubicles and stacks of paper going fucking flying amidst the torrent of gunfire. Interestingly, we can find Victor's office where we discover an email he sent to Rodrigo essentially begging him for money, as well as blueprints for the nightclub we attended with Fabiano a few days ago. Very similar to the same nightclub plans we found earlier in the cartel's hideout. This level sports a mini-boss of sorts, a motherfucking juggernaut. He's just a guy with a lot of health and a big-ass machine gun. Yeah, he's not really anything to write home about. Max Payne hasn't exactly had a great history with stellar boss fights in the past anyway. Max returns to his boss's office to find...
Of course he was dead. Clean, one shot, a professional job.
Yeah, what's worse is the CCTV footage of the office is missing and there's a bomb underneath the desk. I mean, kind of suspicious, but I don't know, I think this might just be circumstantial evidence.
Only blind luck it meant the blast wasn't fatal. If I'd been out for any longer, the smoke would have gotten me.
This segment in the burning building is kinda jank, your movement is severely limited and you can't enter bullet time whatsoever. And Max is already vulnerable enough as it is, it's not great. But of course, as if there was any doubt, Max escapes and decides to interrogate the one mercenary left standing.
Why did you come to kill Rodrigo Bronco?
Came to kill you!
The mercenaries were sent as a diversion to kill Max while an unknown third party snuck into the office and gave Rodrigo the Agent 47 treatment. Which only leads to more questions than it answers.
I was a mess. Rodrigo Bronco was dead. Fabiano was held hostage. I had no idea who was behind any of this. I felt like a fool. I was a sweaty, gray-haired mess. This place, well, this place was gonna kill me too. I could see that now. I decided that I was gonna die sober, not drunk. At least then I would see who shot me.
In a fit of angst and desperation, Max finally declares to give up the drink and tackle the situation head-on. It's clear now that he's been set up to fail every step of the way and decides to take on these unknown conspirators in the only way he knows how. Going bold.
Well, it wasn't perfect. In fact, it wasn't much good at all, but it was gonna have to do. At least I was facing in the right direction.
Parece crack, crack, mas é só insegurança. Fui nessa capeste, os bico cansa. Expressa, é claro, cansa. Whisky neon, pouca luz, ela dança.
Now, this is going to sound strange coming from me. A common criticism of this game is how the gameplay is constantly interrupted by cutscenes. This isn't really a problem for me because the gameplay and storyline are both absolutely wonderful. I enjoy both in equal bouts, but this section... yeah. From the moment Max escapes the office complex to the next bit of actual gameplay, you have to slog through roughly 30 minutes of continuous cutscenes and slow burn walking segments through the favelas. And this is easily the hardest part of the game for me to replay because it's fucking boring. Granted, I appreciate the authentic representation of everyday life in the favelas of Sao Paulo, but I don't know, man. This sequence admittedly does feel like tonal whiplash compared to the first half of the game, and it's just a slog to get through, honestly. Oh hey, it's this fucking guy again.
Hey, are you lost?
In more ways than I could possibly explain.
I know you. At the disco, with the gun. Yeah, you had hair back then and better clothes.
Hey, you take that back, you son of a bitch! Literally around the corner from this guy's charity kiosk is possibly the dirtiest, most squalid brothel I've ever seen, and trust me, I've seen a lot. And here we're introduced to... oh god. Wilson Deus Ex Machina da Silva. And I call him as such because his character only ever serves to force the plot forward whenever it runs out of reasons for Max to happen upon the next story beat in a natural, organic manner. Every time, he always pops out of fucking nowhere and speedruns his expository dialogue before ferrying Max onto the next set piece. I mean, the dude's alright, I guess. He's likable enough, but he doesn't really fit with the rest of the cast. He exists in this game in a purely functional role, and it shows in every scene he's in.
They work for this vigilante group, Crasha Preto.
Yeah, I know him.
Well, they're very popular with right-wing politicians. Like Victor Bronco.
Oh my god, no, wait a second. No, wait, Victor Bronco's a bad guy?
Simply went to hand over some cash to this guy's clowns for a ransom exchange when this guy's clowns jumped us and they shot everybody.
Apart from you and your boy Passos.
That's right. We had to shoot our way out of there.
They let you go.
What? I mean, yeah, they did. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. How the hell could you possibly know that? Wilson hands Max a new gun and tells him where Fabiana is, and here it is, where a bunch of goons decide to liberate me from the monotony and restart the gameplay.
It was Monday afternoon, and I'd already been thrown out of a party, gone to a strip club, and got into a bar fight. This latest midlife crisis was certainly ticking all the boxes.
He's literally me, for real. As much as I dislike the start of the level, this gameplay is actually really good. It's chaotic and fast-paced, really driving the point home that Max has just kicked the hornet's nest and is now fighting a literal uphill battle in a desperate last bid to retrieve Fabiana.
As I approached the spot, I could hear raised voices. Then I saw that Marcello had turned up with a suitcase full of money along with Fabiano's sister, Giovanna. I only understood a little, but things were not going well. I wasn't expecting quite so many armed goons, but there was no backing out now. I would just have to act harder than I felt.
Put the guns down! Let the girls go. No one needs to die, asshole. Tomar no cu, seu gringo de merda. Vou matar. Don't you kill her! Don't you? Okay. Seu filho Caralho! Atividade! É a porra da UP! Ó, você fica com o gringo! A galera conta tem depois. Vamos nessa, caralho! Atividade! Atividade, caralho!
A lot of people really don't like this scene because it's almost as if Max just completely forgets he has bullet time and fumbles his way into another obligatory main character death, but to be fair, this wouldn't exactly be the first time.
NYPD, drop him! Finish her! No, God, no!
Like all the bad things in my life, it started with the death of a woman.
I mean, it's not Dan House's fault that Max suddenly goes full retard whenever the cutscenes start.
Haven't you figured out I don't speak your fucking language? That's right, I may be a moron, but here's the thing. I ain't quite as dumb as I seem.
You make that up yourselves, or you get some wino downstairs to come up with it.
Max now has to descend the hill to escape the favela in the midst of a raid by the police, who are basically going around purging everything within sight. Gee, I wonder why. He learns the hard way that the local SWAT team, the UFE, aren't exactly picky about their targets.
Jesus Christ, these bastards made the NYPD look like the Hare Krishnas.
These guys are absolute tanks, kitted from head to toe in Kevlar body armor, even wearing helmets protecting them from insta-kill headshots. Luckily for you, they also drop the most precise and powerful weapons in the game. Touching on the weapons briefly, a lot of them are local production Brazilian weapons or imports from elsewhere in South America. Even the Beretta Max uses for much of the game is in fact a local production knockoff manufactured by Taurus, which honestly makes it a miracle that it doesn't explode in his hand even once. It's a cool detail, and I appreciate Rockstar giving the spotlight to weapons not normally seen on the gaming scene, but they didn't include the Madsen. You know, the World War I era machine gun produced in 1902 that real-life Brazilian SWAT teams are known to use during actual favela raids. It's such a missed opportunity, honestly. Following a convoy of police escorting arrested civilians, he happens upon a particularly disconcerting scene.
They looked like the same paramilitaries from the stadium in office attacks. Something felt wrong. In fact, everything felt wrong. What the fuck was this? The vigilantes doing an exchange with the death squad cops? Were they buying people? What the hell for?
And he's finally reunited with Marcello and Giovanna.
Marcello!
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, hell yeah, boys. It's time for an epic boss fight with this evil, scarred-up machete goon. It's a fucking quick time event. 3 button pushes and this guy is fucking dead. I wasn't exactly expecting a Yakuza boss fight by any means, but a quick time event? Dan Hauser, you've done it again. This next level, the bus station, I honestly don't have all that much to say about. Having rescued Giovanna, Max has to escort her to safety amidst a legion of mercenaries with 1,000,001 bullets with his name on them. She's pretty good at staying behind out of the way, but you have to pay attention, otherwise she'll get ganked on by some random goon with an itchy trigger finger. Instead, I'll use this as an opportunity to finally address the soundtrack and its composer, Health. At the time, they were just a fringe alternate indie band, and it was obviously a huge risk for Rockstar to commission them to make the soundtrack. But honestly, the result was possibly one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time, and helped elevate Health to the heights they now enjoy today. Every track is orchestrated around each and every scenario, and progresses alongside each level perfectly. Blending Health's iconic industrial noise rock style with samba instruments to further accent the game's Brazilian setting. The New Jersey chapter soundtrack are a perfect blend of this new style of music heard in the 3rd game, with the brooding moodiness of the originals, especially in the track Dead, which front and center featured the sounds of Max's baby crying out in his head, as though the memories of that tragic day he lost his family are still replaying in his head. Every single track in this game, bar none, is an absolute standout, but there is one that stands out in particular, more than the others, but we'll get to that one later. So anyway, Max gets on a bus after looting this guy for an infinite ammo Mac-10, kills another Brazilian goon, kills another gazillion goons before completing his escort mission, and Passos just fucks off without him.
I was just about to run to the roof when my savior and friend, the man whose unborn child I had just killed for, decided to leave without me.
Why, Max? Get in! Quick!
This next chapter is where the story starts to fall apart. Max has another flashback to the good old days of Panama when he was still literally drowning himself in booze.
I love a woman. She's with another and she doesn't want to know it. Fuck her.
Yeah, if you didn't catch that the first time,
I think I love a wrong woman.
It's heavily implied the woman Marcelo is pining for is Fabiana. His own brother's woman. If this yacht looks at all familiar, if you haven't played Max Payne 3, that's because Rockstar copy-pasted its design and used it in GTA Online's yacht update, and they charged an in-game equivalent of like $60 for it.
It's just good business.
Pirates raid the boat and appear to be stripping it down looking for something in particular. This is a pretty popular level and it's a hell of a vibe. But none of these pirates wear body armor, and they're the last of the enemy factions to do so, meaning you're just gonna cut through them like paper. Using the Spas 15 auto shotgun has gotten me like... But why are we back in Panama? What does this have to do with literally anything? Oh boy, here we go. So Victor Branco sent Raul Passos out to specifically look for Max Payne after having discovered word of his rampages from way back when, because in Wilson's words...
You're the fall guy. The American. Running around, acting like the action hero, killing lots of people. You're a stroke of genius.
So not only was Max supposed to fail in his protection detail, he was also meant to take the fall for killing Rodrigo so that Victor could inherit his riches? And the whole thing at the stadium was just him using the mercenaries to leech more money off them. But then how do you explain... the amount of variables that could have resulted in Max's death, not to mention a shitload of unnecessary collateral damage. Victor's plan would have been dead in the water if Max died sooner, or if anything else had happened any other way than how they happened in the game. But then what the hell was going on in Panama?
We're smuggling something, weren't you?
No.
I mean, I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't think too much about it, but yes, Marcelo did drive off with something. I don't know what. I didn't see him until we got to Brazil a week or so later.
I think it was money. I think Marcelo and Victor have a friendly banker there in Panama. Your little cruise was to deliver the cash to him because there it's easier to launder.
So Max was unknowingly helping them launder money aboard the yacht? Who the fuck are these guys? How did they know about the cargo? Was this by accident?
No. AUP. Those were the guys who jumped the yacht in Panama. And what was this? Had the Brazilian cops tipped them off about the money?
What? They told the pirates about the money they were smuggling and invited them to steal it, kill everyone on board, potentially Max, who's supposed to be the fall guy in another fucking plot in Brazil, only for Marcelo and Passos to somehow sneak all of that gear off unbeknownst to everyone? What in the name of fuck? As fun as this chapter is, the story is ruined. You literally can't come back from this. It's absolutely ridiculous. Full of plot holes and non sequiturs. All that remains consistent is that Victor Branco's a bad guy and anything but an evil genius.
Number 15, the Imperial Palace Hotel. The Imperial Palace Hotel is an abandoned building in Sao Paulo where dozens of people go missing under armed... Okay, I can't fucking do it. You get the idea.
A couple of gunshots would sound like I'd walked in here with a goddamn marching band.
The marching band in question? This is where the game gets really dark.
I had to get those poor bastards out of there.
Get him out of here. Go. Go. Wait, I said get... Serrano.
Serrano. He looked pathetic. A man defeated.
And it gets even worse when Max goes upstairs.
What the fuck is going on here?
How much do you want?
What have you been doing?
I am a doctor. I help people.
What have you been doing here?
Harrowing. Absolutely horrifying. James McCaffrey's performance, channeling Max's utter shock and disgust at the scene before him, is stellar.
They will kill you. I can help you. Trust me. Please, please.
What have you been doing?
I have a lot of money. Look. Lots of money.
The mercenaries, using the people sold to them by the Ufe, are running an organ harvesting operation out of this hotel. One which they launder money through a charity run by, you guessed it, Victor Branco.
Either Victor Branco and Nevis were doing a lot of charity work together, or this was payment for something else.
Disgusted and outraged, Max plants charges on structural weak points throughout the building and confronts the mercenaries' head honcho, Alvaro Neves.
Que porra que tá acontecendo aqui?
Senor Neves.
What the fuck is your problem, man?
My problem? My problem? Wanna know what my problem is? You're turning humans into glue!
Oh, it gets me every time.
You are a proper American hero.
At least I fucking tried!
Oh my god. Hank!
Max blows the charges and engages in a final showdown with the mercenaries. Oh boy, another juggernaut, except he's got the high ground this time and you've hardly any cover. I sure do love shaky cam. Can we get some more shaky cam, please? I love not being able to see anything and completely missing my shot. Where the hell did you come from?
Oh, yeah, real hero. Listen, now, come with me, Max. To Brazil. Be a chance to play the fall guy in a plot that my boss's brother's hatching to profit from the selling of human organs. Yeah, it'll be perfect for you.
What are you talking about? I don't know nothing about human organs, man. Victor and Marcelo are trying to teach Rodrigo a lesson. Get him to loosen the purse strings on the family money. They pressured me into doing it. You wanna die? I came back for you. I did my best. I'm having a kid, Max. I gotta go.
Fuck you!
The two escape together and share a heartfelt goodbye.
Look, I'm sorry I'm leaving. I got a kid coming. You know how it is.
I know how that is.
You know, I almost didn't say goodbye to you. I said to myself, maybe this guy will put a bullet in me.
Maybe I will. But not right now.
Thank you. Trying to look after yourself, Max, huh? Life is worth living.
If you say so, pal.
But of course, it's down to business. The cartel and the mercenaries are both out of commission, but the UFE are still at large, and they're every bit as corrupt as we've been led to believe.
Tá pensando o quê? Hã? Onde é que você vem? Fica aí! Eu? Se fodeu, filha da puta! Otário! Deixa eu sair daqui!
So you're gonna bring him down?
Yes, because I want to lose my wife and my children and then get killed myself. All that after watching him walk free.
Tell me what has to be done.
I do not know what kind of bullshittery Wilson pulled to get this prison riot to happen. I'm just going to assume he tweaked the script slightly, as are his powers as Wilson Deus Ex da Silva.
Hey, yeah, you!
Look who it is, Mr. Strip Club Scumbag.
You.
Yeah, me.
High and mighty. You ain't gonna help me.
You get what you deserve, pal.
Oh yeah, I almost completely forgot about this guy. You can find him earlier in the brothel.
I'm a businessman, bro. And they were fully legal in this country, I think. And I know how to tip, alright?
Glad to see the YouTuber community is getting some representation. This is possibly the longest continuous level in the game from a gameplay perspective. The police precinct is absolutely massive, and there are hundreds of UFE swarming your position at any given time. It's fucking brilliant. Incredibly climactic, the vibe off the charts, Max is blood boiling with red-hot revenge for everything Victor and UFE Chief Armando Becker has put him through.
It felt like I was detaching, that maybe this was revenge for something else. Something buried deep in the past.
Also, I want to point out that the surnames of the two head honchos of UFE, Becker and Bachmeier, they're both German. There is a significant German minority currently presiding in Brazil, and it's fascinating to see some representation for them in a fairly high-profile Western video game. But, what did Dan Houser mean by this? This is the only level in the game where you gain access to the G3 marksman rifle, and you have to knock this guy off his platform to even have a chance of getting it. It's really not that great. Even though it's a sniper, it can't penetrate their body armor or their helmets. Just stick to your pistols. Boss fight. Max has to force the ceiling to collapse on top of Bachmeier to force him out of cover, and...
This was the passkey to Becker's office. I was close to the end of all this, and I could feel it.
Becker! Something funny about dying?
I felt like the avenging angel. I looked like a fat bald dude with a bad temper.
You disgusting piece of shit! I know everything!
Not everything, my friend.
God damn it!
This is the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the moment the entire game has been building up to from the very beginning. The airport.
There were UFE all over the airport, and civilians were being moved out. Looking at it one way, shutting down the airport for their escape was a weird sort of compliment, but one I didn't need.
This is easily one of the best finales in any video game, bar none. It's an adrenaline rush from beginning to end as Max pushes on full force forward on a warpath to Victor's private hangar. We have to talk about Tears. Not only is it an absolute banger, easily the best track in the game, but it's also very personal to Max's story. The lyrics are almost angelic, begging Max to move on with his life, almost as if it's his family and all those he's lost throughout his life, telling him to finally let them go and be a better person. The final boss battle is less against Becker himself, as he's hiding behind a riot shield the entire time like a bitch, as he sends another 100 of his feckless goons to their deaths. All you need to do is survive the onslaught. Not great, not terrible. But of course, there's still the question of Victor.
Wait, Max! No! Stop! Max! We have what we need on him now. Let him enjoy a trial and a spell in prison. Let him suffer. Trust me.
You know I walk. You walk with a lift!
I can't even begin to tell you how much I love this ending. I mean, yeah, do you know how incredibly strong you have to be to snap someone's tibia in half like that? Fuck me. But after all that chaos, all those miserable scenes of Max drinking himself into oblivion, we're greeted with this serene scene of him at a bar on a beach, drinking a bottled soda and enjoying a cigarette out in the sun. He even appears to be genuinely smiling for once. As for Victor...
Victor Bronco, the politician at the center of the scandal, who is accused of laundering money from the scheme to fund his political campaign for mayor, was yesterday found hanged in his police cell.
Oh boy, I can't wait until Twitter gets a hold of this one. Freed from his demons, unshackled from his past, the game ends with this shot of Max wandering down the beach, literally walking into the sunset.
Boy, it's dark in some places, but it's sunny everywhere else. Over to Marisol with the weather.
So overall, it's alright, I guess, not that special. You lie! Wow, Yoshi, you're really stretching it out for the 10-minute mark, huh? Oh my god, go away, straw man. In spite of the problems I had with the game's story near the end, I still consider it to be great. As strange as it might sound, given my own past issues, I find Max's journey in this game perversely inspiring as he lifts himself out of rock bottom, takes back control of his life, punishes a fuckload of bad guys, and finally gets the happy ending he deserves. It's unbelievably cathartic for me. Yeah, this is easily one of my all-time favorites. So what's next for Max Payne? Well, Remedy is currently working on remakes of the first two games, published and funded entirely by Rockstar, just like the good old days. Sadly, these remakes will not be seeing James McCaffrey return as Max, as we lost him in the December of 2023 to cancer. He was 65 years old. He will be sorely missed. I truly believe he was one of the greatest and most underutilized voice actors in the history of gaming. He truly made Max's character his own and brought him to life in ways no one else could. Max Payne 3 will always be very dear to me, no matter what anyone else says about it. To me, it's Rockstar's magnum opus next to GTA 4. I find myself constantly coming back to it every few months because it's hit my life like how crack hit Detroit in the 80s. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this new video format. I certainly enjoyed making this video. My Patreon Patreon and social medias are linked in the description, which I'll be updating very soon, and of course, I livestream every weekend at 7 PM British time on Saturdays and Sundays. Bookmark it in your calendar, I'll be replaying Max Payne 3 live on stream for the lot of you, and I'd love to have you there with me. And before you finish watching this video, remember to download World of Tanks. I mean, you didn't forget, did you? Free to play, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Using the link in the description to get a bunch of free stuff. Ringing any bells? Do it! Thanks again, and please, have a great day.
Max Payne, how you doing, man?
Doing about as good as I look.
Why are you living like this? Scratching around? Sitting in bars all day? I can get you work, Max. Work that only a guy like you can do.
Can you give me work sitting in a bar feeling sorry for myself? Where do I sign up?
You still got something to say to me? Oh, shit!
The way I see it, there's two types of people. Those who spend their lives trying to build a future, and those who spend their lives trying to rebuild the past.
Some guys took Giovanna and Fabiana.
Like so many times before, I'd found myself alone, locked on a course of destruction.
To take a shot. Come on, anybody? Want to be a hero? Backer! I got nothing to lose. Let's do it.